Hey, what's up, everybody? I don't have a super long rant for you tonight, which, yeah. So, just one thing that's really been digging at me lately that I just had to throw out there to everyone, see if somebody has an answer, a reason, an explanation, something for this. And it is Biden and his complete disregard for everything that the Supreme Court says, right? The Supreme Court, there's a reason it is named Supreme Court. So they say you got to stop the mandates, and it is ruled upon, and it is ruled that you cannot do it. And instead of saying, okay, well, under, this method of doing things, the Supreme Court said we couldn't do it, so we need to alter our game plan, pretty much. Biden just says, yeah, we know what they said, but states, you should just keep on doing what you're doing. What? And this isn't the first time that's happened. If it was the very first time, which the first time he did something like that, I was like, wait, really? You could just completely just disregard everything they say. The first one that I recall, there may have been some that I missed. It was during the eviction moratorium, right? Because that's robbery, pretty much. And you say, well, you can't just kick people out of the homes because of COVID. But think about it. So many people think that somebody, if they have a house that's for rent, then they must be a millionaire with 50 houses and, they're just fine. They're living high on the hog, whatever. But those people that are living there, I would say the majority, people that own homes, own 2 to 5. You know what I mean? And 5 is a pretty higher end. You know what I mean? A lot of people, especially older retired people, they have one home. They have, 2 homes. One they live in, one that they rent out. So if you tell them you're not getting rent for an entire year, no rent, not even some of it, half of it will cover some of it, you're getting no rent, but you have to allow the people to live there as if they were paying rent. Because if they're living there and you can't kick them out, you can't cut the water off, can't cut the power off, can't cut their anything that you have for them during normal rental whatever agreements, you had to keep on. So they were pretty much telling people that were renting homes that, screw you, we're going to let these people live there. So these people were still working jobs, and even people that were still working full-time jobs, the homeowners that were renting it out, they couldn't petition or sign a form to have that person exempted from it, because it was just a blanket umbrella. If you live in a house that you're renting, you can't be kicked out of it. And the Supreme Court said you can't do that. You can encourage renters and stuff to set up agreements. You can set up, funds or something that goes to them to help with the payments and whatnot. But you can't just say, hey, you don't get your income anymore, but you're still expected to keep up your half of the bargain, right? So that was the first time where Joe Biden said, I don't care what the Supreme Court said, do it anyway, extend it further. They're that's kind of what we do. We're the Supreme Court, so usually when we say you can't do that, it's because it's a direct violation of the Constitution and everything America stands for. They're not up there spitting opinion pieces. And that's why Donald Trump, when he appointed, the justices that had the available seats, he appointed people not that were Republican or Trump supporters. He voted for, or he, got people in there that were standing by the Constitution. Because in the end, every problem in America will sort itself out if we just stuck, word for word to the Constitution. And the Supreme Court is a part of that. There are checks and balances in this nation for the very purpose of if an administration or a president gets into office and he becomes tyrannical, starts to do very overreaching things or starts to do things not in the best interest of the Americans, we still have something we can turn to and say, hey, can you put a stop to this? Because this is crazy, you know? It's like we voted for him because we agreed on these, and these things, and it's still hard to say who even voted for him, honestly. The numbers, I don't believe them, but whatever. You know, they're starting to get out of control. We need to do something. So we had the Supreme Court there to say, you know, we take very few cases per year. Like, if you look at the amount of cases that come to them and the amount they actually, like, you know, rule on, it's a fraction, like a fraction, like a little tiny fraction of them. And it's supposed to be that what they say goes, because it is by the Constitution, by the book, thoroughly reviewed, not opinion, not politics, just pure, I mean, not like political divide left and right is what I mean by not political. Obviously, it's politics because it's something a political representative is doing. But that, for Biden to numerous times now, like, he's done it with the mandates, did it with the eviction stuff. He did it for something else. I forget what it was. There was at least one other time where he has pretty much given the middle finger to the Supreme Court's ruling with no consequences, no nothing. Is that not, like, do you not all see this happening? Did you not follow any of the Supreme Court hearing about the mandates? And given that, they were allowed to lie on the stand talking about there are hundreds of thousands of children right now that are infected with COVID, or that are hospitalized with COVID right now. And they, like, nobody, you know, questioned it. Nothing was said in the actual, the hearing of it. But later on, like, you know, days later, they're doing an interview and they're like, well, you said this number, but it's not right. And they're like, oh, yeah, must have been a mistake. They're like, you, like, very confidently said there were hundreds of thousands of children in the hospital. That's why this mandate was so important, because all of these children, right? You played on the emotions because you knew the people up there care about their children, care about children of America. But the total number was like 3,000 kids since COVID started. Not currently, not, you know, the past week, not the past 6 months. Since COVID has begun, it was like 3,000 kids in America. And that's still a good bit, but when you look at the amount of kids with flu, any, like, sickness, with stomach aches, you know what I mean? There have been probably more than 3,000 kids to the hospital with stomach aches than cope, you know, than coop. But they just lied at the Supreme Court hearing thing. But thankfully, they, and I hate when you look at it, you see that they ruled based on party lines, because the Democrats refused to give anything there. It was 6-3 because there are 6 Republicans, 3 Democrats, and the Democrats wouldn't concede a single point, didn't want to hear it. They knew, this is my party line, that's your party line. I don't care if my party line says stab babies in the face, which they are doing. They're making it legal where you can, you know, kill kids later and later and later. But they don't care. It's the party line. You know what I mean? And what sucks about the Republicans is that they are standing up for honesty and the Constitution and America. So if something comes through from the Republicans that is kind of shady, unsure, maybe not the best move, they'll reject it. And of course the Democrats are in lockstep, like, there's no doubt that 100%, and that's why they're freaking out about what's his name, Manchin and Sinema. They're freaking out about them because they broke from the narrative. They are Democrats, and they didn't automatically stamp yes on anything the Democrats say. That's why they said they're terrorists, they are insurrectionists, they insurrected this party. And it's like, stop and look at what you're doing. If you have members of your party that are telling you you're getting out of control, you're losing us. We were happy going lockstep with you when we had a common vision. but it's very obvious your vision is something that we are not going to be part of. For the sake of our constituents, for the sake of this nation, we can't go along with that. You can get upset if you want, but you don't elect me. The people elect me, and that's who I am here to stand up for. Call me whatever you want, attack me as much as you want, slander me as much as you want, but I will not vote against the best interest of the American people. And that's what these people said. Like, and that's not an exact paraphrase, but something along those lines is like, my people, like of the place that I represent, they would crucify me if I went along with this, because it's ridiculous, and I realize that it's ridiculous. But Joe Biden, same thing. Like, if something doesn't go lockstep with what he says, he just ignores it. He avoids it, pretends it never happened, and it's never talked about again. The Supreme Court thing with the rental stuff, he just said, no, it's still on, and places continue to run it. It's like, you just completely cut out a whole section of checks and balances here, and that's it. Nobody's worried. That doesn't raise any alarms. That doesn't get him brought before a special hearing. Nothing. How's that possible? Is there a certain limit? Like, you can ignore the Supreme Court ruling this many times before we do something, or before we say something? Where's the line? I'm genuinely asking this question, not as a divide, not to try and start problems. I'm genuinely asking as I watch a president that is disregarding our entire system of government. The elections, you're not allowed to question them. Okay, well then you better be a damn good politician. Because if you want me to not have any questions, you better not give me anything to question. If you're telling me I'm not allowed to ask questions about what happened, you better make it clear that you're here for our best interest. And Joe Biden continuously doing stuff like this points to a very different direction. If you haven't seen it, just message me and I'll send you some of the articles and, different things discussing it. And him himself coming out right after the Supreme Court ruling here recently and saying, states, just keep doing it. Just any of you that are forcing vaccine mandates right now, keep on going. What are we supposed to do? Just sit here and say, dang, that sucks. I wish he would listen to the Supreme Court? Are we supposed to go up there and be like, listen to the Supreme Court? Or are we supposed to be like, you don't get a chance to listen to the Supreme Court anymore because you're out of here? That's what I think we should do. But maybe I'm crazy. Maybe I'm biased. I don't know. Maybe the guy is just genuinely awful. I honestly hoped that I was wrong about everything. That he would get in, things would be going good, some of their plans would turn out well, and things would work right. But we see that's not the case. That's why their numbers are record low right now and getting lower. That's why they are starting to, get all of their states that are on board with them, all these Democrat-run states, to ban voter ID. And if you don't think that's a direct correlation with what's going on at the border and the fact that they have been running endless flights from the border all across America to all these places, you're a fool. A willful fool, because those two go hand in hand. You don't need to be a citizen, and you don't have to have an ID to vote. Tell me how that secures an election. Who do you know that really, really wanted to vote in 2020, in 2016, ever, and just, man, if only I was able to get an ID or get a social security card, something. How many people do you know personally? Honestly. Not just, oh, well, my friend is black and he had to work during the hours it was open and he didn't know about early voting because he doesn't know how to use a computer, because maybe you're one of the racist Democrats that believe black people don't know how to use computers. But I'm genuinely asking, who do you know that has been refused from voting in the past 30 years? In my lifetime, 32 years. I'll wait. You can answer that one after you answer, how many times do we allow Biden to completely disregard the Supreme Court's rulings before something is done? That's my 2 questions. My third is a statement, which I guess it's not a third, it's technically the first, even though this whole video was packed with statements. What I'm trying to say is, I hope you have a great night. Be safe. It's still messy out there, and I think it's all going to freeze over again tonight when it hits 19 degrees. So stay safe, everyone, and God bless.